all this stuff is interesting. So I am just getting us live.
I'm gonna get a pen.
Up.
Oh, I'm right here. I got pens right here.
Awesome.
Oh, look, we've got my fairy lights in the back coming through. There's one right there.
All this stuff is all right. So I am just getting us. Here we go. We've got some feedback coming in. There we go. Okay, so I am here today with my good friend Cara, who lives up the road with me, and we've known each other for a couple of years now, right, Cara?
I think
so.
2017.
Yeah, at least. Probably before that, actually. And
for sure. Before that.
Cara and I love to chat about all things weird and crazy and fringe. And we've had a few people suggest over the years in our discussions after our yoga classes that we should do something like this. And lo and behold, it only took a pandemic and us both losing our jobs to find the time to actually sit down and record our chats. But for those people who don't know Cara, she's a really interesting lady. By day, she is a travel agent, but what I'm most interested in about Cara is all of the other gifts that she has. So Cara is also, I'm just gonna put you out there. I'm gonna throw you out of the closet and say that you are also a psychic medium, but you do a lot of work with young women in particular. Would you like to share a little bit about kind of your background and who you are?
Okay, so I'm Cara, and well, my background, I guess, my parents are from, Ireland, and I grew up in Scarborough, and I started seeing weird things with my sister starting at around that age. Like, I was a kid, and I would see colors and my parents thought I was crazy. My mom would be afraid to come into my room because my sister and I would always be talking about the spirits in the room. So, so it started then. I guess you would consider those night terrors if you wanted to look at it medically. I had night terrors. But I am still an adult and now, and I still get them. So, yeah, it's not as frequent. I'm also somebody who's in recovery, and I've been sober for almost 12 years now. And that was kind of the beginning of my spiritual journey. Before that, there was really no belief or anything, just that I was crazy and not worthy, all those things. And today I really don't, even though I'm wearing a shirt right now live on YouTube that is wrinkly, I do have self-respect today. and I do honor what I see and what I think. And I think that that's what everybody should really start to do, is honor themselves, who they are. Some people probably will never book travel with me again after they see this video. They're like, she's crazy. But you know what? Everybody has their own thing, their religion, their hobbies, their gifts. And I, for one, believe that psychics and mediums and anybody that if you want to use that term, whatever it is, but that we all have that gift. We're all connected to each other. So it's just a matter of whether or not you're in denial.
Yeah,
well, yes, you do.
Yeah. So, I think that's how our friendship almost formed, was we were doing the yoga classes together, and then we would start chatting after class about what we were seeing or what we were feeling in the class. And both of us were probably a little bit afraid in the beginning to bring it up because you don't want people to think you're crazy. But then, we've had some pretty amazing experiences, I think, over the years, right?
Do you remember the deer?
Yeah.
What? Followed one of your teachers. They thought it was like a ploy that we did it. But no, the deer came right to where we did yoga.
The
That was
deer, we had the deer
incredible.
walk up. We were actually doing a meditation to call in spirit at the time, really simple meditation, and the
Yeah.
deer just walked right up.
It
And the
followed
bear,
one of your teachers.
yeah.
Like, I want to be that teacher. I think
That's because
she
she has
was
beautiful,
scared.
she has beautiful energy. That's why.
She is
And
so sweet.
we've had
Animals love me and
yeah.
hate me. They're like, too much, too much.
You were also there when we had the bear come up to the studio as
Yes.
well, right? And
Yes. It
we've
was a
had that.
baby bear, thank God.
Yeah,
And
we've
that's
had
when one
2
of
or
the
3.
girls was like this, the intense one. She was going, go,
Yeah.
get out of here, bear.
But you know what's funny is like over the years, we've had so many psychics come through here, whether it's for yoga or retreats, and a lot of the people who have the gift, or we should clarify an awareness of their gift.
Awareness
have
of their
seen-
gifts. Everybody has gifts.
Exactly. Is that a lot of people have seen bear spirit animals as well at that outdoor studio. So it's quite common. But we've also had some interesting experiences beyond the animals as well, I would say. Because what's been interesting to me and part of my journey in the last year is we've both seen a lot of like blue orbs and blue beings
Blue.
in our community, right? Like in our studio, but also in our small community up here. And what's interesting to me is that, you know, there's people who have awareness who experience them, but we've also had a lot of people, and I know you've witnessed it when you've been there, of people who are non-believers, you know, people who trust in science only, who have also had experience with seeing the blue orbs and the blue beings.
That's exactly it. And that's why when I met you, I was so relieved because you're very smart. You're a very smart person. You are educated. You have like your shit together. Can I say that on YouTube? You know what I mean? And yet you still were like, when I spoke to you, I felt safe. Like I knew that you understood.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's so many people out there that are in the same boat and they think like with me, I'm like, you know, I'm good. I'm smart in other ways.
You are a very intelligent woman. You need to give yourself some more credit.
I just, I kind of like pick what I love and then focus on that. I'm not somebody that can do like 1,000 things because I really enjoy what I'm doing. That's why with my career, that I don't even know is going to exist anymore after this but whatever, my clients are awesome. But you know what? Like, I just think that we got very lucky with our friendship because I was at a place that wasn't the best when I got to your studio, which I find is interesting. Like it's always women that go because men, they just don't want to go. Right.
Well, we did have men in the beginning before you showed up.
The couples stuff was really good.
Yeah. But I mean, my intention, you know, I opened a yoga studio, but my intention was actually not to do that. And there's very few people who actually know this, but if you were to speak with my mentors at the time, they're like, what are you doing building something in the middle of the woods, like the middle of nowhere? And
and my friends too.
I have to tell you, my late grandfather, who was amazing in many ways, was a big fan of the Field of Dreams, to the point of like we as children, we actually went on a trip with them to the actual Field of Dreams where it was filmed. And when he passed away, on the card that they have at the funeral, it was the Field of Dreams. And so he passed away before I built this place. And as I was building it, I kept hearing that line from the movie, if you build it, they will come. And so everyone was like, you're crazy. Like there's nobody out there. And I was like,
especially where we are. There's nobody.
It's like a population of 20. And, but I knew at the time, I was going through my awakening process at the time, and I actually wanted to create a space where we could explore interdimensional travel, and we could explore all of these ideas of like, how do you communicate with ETs and how do you communicate with spirit guides?
Yeah.
But at the time, it was too early, I felt, in a small community like this to just go full force in that direction.
They'll put you in a straitjacket, girl.
Yeah, I mean, so I was like, you know what, yoga is safe, so we'll start with the yoga. But the intention was always to have that feel, because even as a child, I remember a woman in our community had written a book about aliens in her backyard. She was seeing orbs in her backyard, and everyone thought she was crazy. But even as a child, I was always drawn to these people because I felt like there was maybe some element of truth, and just brushing them off, we were not taking in all of this potential knowledge that could
exist. It's
right?
keeping an open mind, right? It is. It's keeping an open mind.
You know, I heard something interesting last night. I think it was Sasha Stone in one of his videos, and he was talking about the work of Rudolf Steiner, but around fruit flies. And he was saying that, you know, where do fruit flies come from? They just come. They just
appear.
They just manifest when there is rotting fruit.
It's true.
But that idea of like, how can something come from nowhere, like, blows our mind, right? It kind of it makes our reality a little more malleable, and that can be scary, I think, at times, for us to go into some of those ideas. But then look at the fruit flies in your house. Where did they come from?
Where did the crickets come from? That was craziness. The cricket situation.
Yeah. I mean, you and I both know that animals and we'll say insects, I'm going to include insects in that realm, that they carry messages from spirit.
Oh, I know.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask you today was, you know, there's all this stuff happening in the world, and there's all kinds of narratives and stories and ways to explain what's happening. But what I'm really interested in is, as somebody who's like tapped in to the other realms, is what has been your experience from an energetic perspective? Because I know you and I have said a few times when we've just been texting, like, oh my God, weird stuff is happening.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about any of the weird stuff that you've noticed?
Well, I guess what I've noticed is that, first of all, that I'm okay, like, despite the fact that everything is crazy, that within my own energy, my own center, you know, I'm cool, which is unheard of, because I'm a basket case, and I'm like a person that is like very high energy. So for me to be, so that is a sign for me that all of this is obviously it's supposed to happen. But, you know, I guess what I've really, really noticed is that I am missing people. I never thought that being around, because usually when I'm around people, I'm very uncomfortable. It's their energy is very intense, or I can kind of pick up on it. And, you know, and a safety thing for me is just to stay away. I guess that's why I drank too, right? Because I was but I can say now that the people, I noticed that we have this impression that physical energy, that we have to be in front of people, but I can actually feel you here.
Yeah.
You see? So I think that this is like an eye-opening moment for humans, because for us and for animals, because animals are just as important as us, just by the way. They are. People think they're not, but yeah, like that little spider is important. So I think that that's where I'm noticing that maybe this is what the earth needs. Mother Earth, almost, I felt like in my meditation yesterday, was telling me, chill, girl, this is normal, and there is no death. So what are you worried about?
Yeah.
What are you worried about? Maybe you'll be that spider looking back at you, or maybe you'll be, you know, and I don't know, like, in all honesty, I feel in my heart that this is all true. Whether it is or not, I don't know. When I meditate, it's almost like a dream, right?
Yeah.
So when you wake up from a dream, you think, oh my God, like you know, I did this in my dream and whatever, but you don't go, oh my God, like, how dare you dream about that? Right? It's the same with meditation, right? Like, I can literally go there, and I'm like all over the place, outside the planet, all over. Imagination, I think Einstein says, is like really important to have an imagination, because that's how things get created. So I just roll with it. I don't typically go around talking about it, but in a format like this, and I think that a lot of the people, even my clients, my friends, everybody know who we are, right? So I'm not even embarrassed about doing this. I'm more comfortable doing this than doing a video with your cousin.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, this is real. This is who you are. It's not.
This is who I am.
It's not.
If I'm trying to pretend, then it's
Yeah.
never going to work for me.
Yeah.
It's never going to work for any of us.
You know, I want to go back to what you said about the earth, because I mean, I have a practice where I always connect into the earth to make sure I'm grounded, because like you, I like to go off out into space and our homeland among the stars.
It's true.
But when every time I connect into the earth, I get the same message. She's like, I'm okay. We're all good. We're going to get through this.
Yeah, just relax.
Yeah. And it's an interesting message, because it's kind of the opposite of what we're getting in the mainstream media. Right. Like, even forget the pandemic stuff, but just, you know, climate change and everything else. And I mean, I haven't studied the science in that or really gone deep into it, but all I know is that the earth has told me that we're good. However, the trees on my property have also said to me a bit of a conflicting message, in that they've given to support humanity, and that they need a little love back, right? And that makes a lot of sense, because even as a human, if we spend all of our time giving, then our energy, it does get drained. And so it does make sense that there is some energetic exchange with nature, with the beings and the consciousness that exists in those plants and animals, that they need some love back from us too, and that it should be a give and take, right? We have a tendency to see them as resources, and
they do.
You know, funny story. I don't know if it's funny, but over a year ago, I was in Florida, and I mean, I was having some interesting experiences along the way in Florida, but there was one that's really been coming up for me the last little while, and especially as I talk with you, because I know your connection to animals. But we had gone to this little, it was like a reptilian zoo. And so there was all these lizards and stuff. Oh
my God, I love reptiles.
And so there's I feel awful because I don't know what kind of lizard it was, but it was quite large. And it just like, I sat there for 5 minutes having sort of like a telepathic conversation with it. And at the time I didn't understand it, but it makes a lot more sense now, because the lizard was saying to me at the time, he was like, we are just like you. We are just like humans, and we're locked up in these cages. And if you don't get out now, you're going to be locked up. And that's what he said to me over a year ago.
Basically saying, this is some bullshit. Like, what am I doing in here?
You know, and I know I've had moments, like we have a lot of mosquitoes and black flies and stuff up here, which we'll be seeing soon. And a lot of people can't tolerate them, but I have a hard time killing them sometimes, because I think, you know, there could be a universe, and maybe we're in it, I don't know, but there could be a universe where we are the fly as humans.
Exactly.
We are seen as the fly. And so
maybe it needs some blood to live. Right? Or the mosquito, whatever it is. Oh, here you go, little buddy. Take a chunk. That's okay. You're me. You're me.
There's so
I relate.
There's so many ways you can view the world, and to say that one idea or one way of viewing the world is the right way, I don't know. I don't know if it's that simple, especially when we see all the realities that can exist.
I'm not going to go there with religion, but I'm just going to make it very clear that, you know, like, I was raised Catholic. So for me to actually like even look at like cards, like, you know, my angel cards, or try to open my mind outside of Jesus and Christianity was difficult for me. It was like, but that concept didn't work for me. So I had to switch it up. And, you know, not that I don't like Jesus, you know, like, I really don't have anything against Jesus or religion. I just think everybody has the right to their own higher power and what they believe. And I, you know, and even if it is like, you know, if they believe in Santa, let them do it, you know, because how do you know that they won't manifest a Santa? You never know what we can do. We're so awesome. you know, that we can pretty much create anything we want with our imagination. And, you know, I really believe that like you said with the lizard, like we're all connected. Like, you know what, like my dog is blind. I literally bought her blind. You know how I am. And she's looking at me right now. Yeah, a blind dog is looking at me. Right? And, you know, and that to me is because she can recognize my energy and my space and where I'm at. She knows it's me. She doesn't see me. She hears this friggin' cackle, but she doesn't, you know, dogs are, you know, not the easiest to manage at times, but at the end of the day, it's not my job. It's just my job to take care of them. They're not owned by me.
Yeah, I love
you
that.
See, I don't own shit. I'm not going to put that out loud. I do own shit because there was one on the floor just this morning before I got you. But anyways, off topic. Yeah, like I can say that, you know, that the religion, I'm glad that I was raised in the Catholic Church, to be honest, because I learned a lot. And, you know, my morals and things like that. But, you know, for me, it just wasn't for me. And that's okay. But it took a lot of like kahunas to do that because, you know, add the Irish factor in there, you know, but my family, I'm sure, as long as I'm happy, right? That's the way we should be with each other. Just like, stop being so mean. Have you seen what's on Facebook? Screw off already. Like opinions are great, but like to be rude about it, like, come on, you're making fun of somebody's religion or you're making fun of somebody believing in aliens. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
What are the chances of there not being aliens? That's the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Scientifically, what are the chances of not, you know? So,
well, and the Pentagon has now released some
I did not know that.
Evidence that there was craft. I mean, I think it's from 2004 or something. It's old. It's old information, but they did officially release some information. Yeah. So, I mean, but the timing of it is interesting because it's kind of fallen to the bottom of everybody's pile, and it's old. So what's happened in that time frame, you know? When I was in Scotland this year, one of the places that we visited was actually across from the institute where they did cloning. Remember when they cloned the sheep way back when? Like,
oh my God, yes. That was a taboo back then.
Yeah. But what's interesting is like that came out and then it was like crickets, silence. We haven't heard anything else really about cloning since then.
No.
So what's happened between now and then? Are we assuming that it was a failure and nothing has gone on, or has it been highly successful? You know,
yeah, I think that I don't know how I you know, again, I guess my upbringing, a difficult time, not allowing nature to do it, but aren't we part of nature?
I think
like,
so.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm thinking that maybe we might be. So, you know, like if we create something, is it bad?
I don't know.
It depends, I guess, on the intention of the person. See, this is why I am loving this video right now that we're doing, because this is the shit that goes on in my head.
Yes. Well, and then I'm going to take it one step further of, is there even a good and a bad?
Right. They're supposed to be, it's supposed to be like the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
Black and white, you know, yin and yang, kind of like that symbol, that black and white symbol. I personally believe it's all about balance. I'm not perfect. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I mean, I did some shitty things in my life, but at the end of the day, you know, like that experience taught me how to help others. You know, like, which is what I've always tried to do. I tried to teach the Bible to another kid. I was such a loser, right? Like, who does that? Who does that? I was trying to teach the Bible, the Catholic Bible, to my neighbor. I'll never forget that, you know, but that wasn't for me. And I felt it wasn't for me. And then all of a sudden, all that stuff happened in my life, traumatic life. And look at what it made me, you know. I'm pretty friggin' awesome today. And I think that like any one of us, maybe over some videos, I'll start talking more about our stories and you too. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, it's what created who we are today.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I am blessed. Like, I have seen so many girls that have been through, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, running from husbands, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and my experience can help them. Well, then, shit, I'll go on YouTube, even though I'm totally awkward with it and I don't like looking at myself unless I like, what do you do when you fix it? Can you make my face look skinnier?
I haven't
You know what
dug
I
into
mean?
that technology
See?
yet.
And I'm vain and I'm a human being, and that's okay. Balance.
Well, and I
Balance.
think there's some real value in being real in who you are and being approachable in who you are, right? Because that's how we help people. If we hold ourselves to the standard of perfection and we stand on a pedestal, we can't help anybody because
Oh my
there's too
God.
much gap to be able
Oh
to
my
relate.
God. All of us are assholes. Every human being on the planet is an asshole. Okay? Look what we're doing to our planet. Like, really, we're just we think we're so smart. Yet Mother Nature is like, okay, bitches, get back inside.
Yeah.
You guys are not allowed outside right now. You're on detention. Because here's a virus. That was another thing that came to me. It's like, we need to be put separated for now. In my opinion, everybody has their own. Okay, everybody, okay, YouTube, chill. I think that we, like, for myself, I I love the idea of being a loner,
Mhm.
but I'm not a loner. It's kind of, and it's only for me to kind of keep myself centered because I'm all over the place. And
Mhm.
I love this because this is great because you can get what you're thinking in your head out. And there may be people that go, that bitch is crazy. She's crazy. Click, delete, block. And I'm going, fine. If I'm making you uncomfortable, don't be around me. Our energy is not meant for each other, you
Mhm.
know? And that is not the case with us, obviously. We
No.
get it.
Well, we get
We
each other in
understand each other.
a way. I
We've known
think
each
because
other.
we both have we both have a need to be somewhat alone at times. Like there's elements of introversion and extroversion in our personality, but because of the vast amount of thoughts that run through our mind, that I mean, I
Yeah.
need to be alone sometimes. I need
Yeah.
nobody talking to me so that I can actually siphon through some of those thoughts and figure out
So you can get rid
what's
of the thoughts, because the thoughts are going to prevent you from what do you want to call it? Nature, creator,
meant.
God, Buddha, whatever, right? If you want
Exactly.
to meditate and you get those, and like, for me, I have to clear my mind in order to get those messages. And that takes a lot of practice. And I need to be alone,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm never alone in my own mind. But if you really think about it, none of us are alone. Who's to say that not all of us are having these thoughts all the time? And we just don't know what the hell to do. Like,
Yeah.
our brains
Well,
are amazing.
I mean, I'm going to ask you this question because I think from my observances that there's a lot of people who are now tapping into their intuition a lot more than they were previous to this. And I do believe that part of that is because of the isolation, because now you're forced to look at the things that we've been shoving down and pushing down for so much of our life that now we can't escape it. And you and I have done that for a really long time, of having to face some of those
Really
demons.
dark shit.
Yeah. And integrate it into who we are and become accepting of who we are because of that, and to find the light in that. What would you suggest to people who are just now going through that process? Because I know you do a lot of support for women in that regards, of like, they're just starting to have all of this stuff come up and to have an awareness of it. Would you offer any
Oh my
advice?
God. You know what I did? I just like, don't do what I did. I drank it away. I couldn't handle it. I honestly, I could not handle it. So whatever you do, don't do that. Try to stay sober, or try to stay, what's the word? Responsible, I guess you can say, like, with it, because the reality for me in my mind is that, some of the stuff isn't real. I come from trauma. So I used to create things in order to make myself so I can handle the trauma, if that makes any sense. It's almost like I naturally can take myself out of my body.
Yeah.
Because of it. And I think that, like, as far as like with with the way that my thoughts were, they weren't always positive at first. I used to hear really dark voices. And, yes, guys, I went to the doctor. I'm on medication now. I don't hear them as much. Okay. Thank you. Anyways. Um, and I used to and I thought maybe it was because I created it or whatever, but I can tell you now that I'm over all of my past. I really am. So that's like amazing, by the way, because it's really shitty. I'm not even afraid of the people of my past anymore. I used to be afraid of them. And amazing when you are like one with the universe and you're one of God's children and you are connected to that little spider that we've been talking about and you don't think you're worthy. It's crazy. How can any of us think we're not worthy? Like, really, and that's the most beautiful part about spiritual awakening is doing the work. I mean, we all have addictions, we all have different things that we do to try to avoid what we're supposed to do. I don't know. We're avoiders, procrastinators, like we're all those things. Like we're selfish, we're egocentric, we're, self-centered, we're all those things. And yeah, that's okay because we need those things to survive, but we don't need them to be out of whack. A nice balance of being an asshole and being good, right there is really perfect. The sweet spot. The sweet spot. And accepting things for what they are. Like the earth is doing this for a reason. This is not like, and I get into the whole conspiracy theories and that kind of stuff too. I do. But at the end of the day, stay the fuck home. Like in my opinion, until they tell you, because right now this is like my friend almost died in Barrie and he's 43 years old. 43 and healthy as shit, has like 1 million kids and an amazing wife, was on the news. I'm not mentioning names because Jenn really asked me not to, even though he's on the news. Anyways, and you know what? I know it's real. I'm not going to pretend anymore, right? The truth is the truth. But at the end of the day, I keep an open mind and I don't disrespect other people when they speak and when they have an opinion of something, because I might learn something. Yeah. And I might be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm never wrong. I like to think I'm never wrong, but I'm wrong sometimes.
I think this is an important discussion because so many of us are having different experiences with the whole pandemic and everything that's going on. And we have different beliefs and there is a lot of different information out there. And I think it's completely valid for us to have different experiences of what the truth is for our own life, right? It's completely potential that we could have different truths, right? If we consider alternate realities, there could be alternate truths, but we won't go into that. And
it could be, exactly.
So, I mean, I feel it is important for us to have that space, or at least the open mind to consider that one person's experience may lead them down a different belief system, may lead them down a different course of action. But I also think that most of humanity is good. I don't think that most of humanity is bad and wishes to harm.
I think we're all good.
I do too. And so I think, people who are choosing to stay home are good people. I think people who are choosing to stand up and protest are good people.
They're good people.
And I think everyone is doing it with the same intention of that we all want to create a better planet, a better system, that we all want to be healthy, that we all want to be free. I think we all agree on that. But where we're disagreeing is on the how. And we're getting so caught up in the how that we're losing sight that we're actually all on the same team.
We're all on the same team. Like we could all like die from a coronavirus. Like we're all on the same team.
I mean, that's one potential. I don't think that's going to be our reality personally.
No, we're going to find a cure. We human beings are way too clever.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's already a cure out there. I think there's a lot of different agendas at play. And one of the agendas, one of the conspiracy theories I wanted to bring up with you today,
oh God, I love these.
But one of the ones, I mean, it's a serious topic in that that one of the suggestions has been that part of the pandemic, and I'm not suggesting that the COVID isn't real, because I do believe that it is real, just to be clear, but that it has been used as an opportunity to really go and make a big stance against human and sex trafficking around the world. And that it's where they're using this cover while everyone is at home, everyone is safe in their homes, to really go out and do some work to stop some of the pedophilia rings, to make arrests, to save some of the children that may have been kidnapped or even born into some of these really horrible situations. And so, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Have you seen that information
I haven't
come
seen
out?
that. No. But you know what my opinion is those, well, first of all, if that's happening, fucking great. That's amazing. Get all those pricks. like really. The reason I think those types of people are, I don't know, like I can go into the whole spiritual aspect of it, but you know, I would hope that if this is the case, which I don't know for sure if it is or not, but that would be great. Please go and get them and stop these rings. Because like, you know, like that's horrific. It's part of the reason why I hate to say it. Like I'm going to say it on, sorry, my family, but you know, but that's why I don't go to Catholic church anymore, because of that. They're not doing anything. Like, what have they done? Really? You know, maybe I'm wrong. I'll look it up online afterwards or Google it just to make sure to be knowledgeable, because now I don't know. But yeah, like, I mean, get them. Go get those bastards. That's my opinion on it. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But if it is, that's wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know whether they're actually using the COVID as a push to do that, but I think as a collective, most of us can agree that that is a problem. We are aware
it is a big problem.
Sex trafficking is a big problem.
Big problem.
And so there's part of me that's like, you know, there's so many different facets to this, right? Like people are getting sick, people are dying, people are losing their source of income, they're losing the ability to provide for themselves. Some people are probably going to lose their homes the longer that this goes on. People can't feed their kids. Like there's all of these different challenges, and we all have our own experience of what that's going to be. But there is part of me that's like, you know what? If I had to lose my job and I had to lose my business, if that's the worst that happened to me, in order to save a bunch of kids, I'm in.
Yeah, me too.
I'm in. Yeah. I can tolerate that. And I would happily do it, you know? And I think a lot
of people, all the ones that have the inner child issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, in a lot of ways, you know, you're doing a lot of work with people who have survived some element of that in their life, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's, you know, like everything else, as we all bring up all this stuff, as we're quarantined and we're isolated, and it's this huge time of reflection for humanity. I think, you know, a lot of these debates and arguments that we are having online is that it's bringing up all of this darkness that has existed, and whether or not we participated physically or emotionally in those events, if we knew it existed and we didn't do anything, then we were also involved, at least on an energetic way, right? It's like if you know that a certain company is trafficking children and you continue to buy their product,
then it's not ethical.
It's not ethical, right? And you're still contributing to the energy of that problem.
We need to expose them. That's it. We need to expose them.
But we also need to, I think, expose within ourselves the role that we have played in complying with that, in turning our eyes away from it, in ignoring the people who have tried to bring that information forward. And whether it's right or wrong, I mean, that's to be debated. And that's maybe what our court system is for. If that court system is ethical.
It's not ethical, our court system. I mean, I literally watched my abuser walk out of court knowing he was guilty. Mm-hmm. Like, he was guilty, but he was told and then everybody in my family thought he was not guilty. Like, it was a joke. So our system, it is about us on an individual basis, on how, like, for me, I can only do what's right around me. And kind of the pandemic is forcing that literally now. I can only do this. And then I can only do this. We're all like a chain link. Like, if you look at it, like, that we're all connected spiritually, we're also connected physically on the physical world, because every job is connected to each other, kind of thing. Like, we need the police, we need the, kind of like the mechanic that fixes the police car, right? We need each other. So I think that if we could just as a collective say, fuck that shit. Let's like get these perverts off the street. As a collective, like, if all of us just finally said no. And what's crazy is with the internet, that's a possibility in a way. Like, if you think about it, if we become machines and shit, that's a whole other topic.
So here's, and there are some people who are working really, really hard right now to get that information out there, and not with the intention of creating fear, but with the intention of the more, exactly what you said, the more people who know and understand that this is actually a real problem.
It could be your daughter. It could be you. It was almost me. It might have been me. I don't even know. But they manipulate you and like get you into this thing, like almost like a gang, like when you get manipulated into a gang because you have no family or you have no friends, or so you want to be a part of something, because human beings all want to be a part of something, because guess what? We are a part of everything. So in the physical world, we just don't notice it as much, right? So anyways.
So on that note, I love what you said about how, we're all connected, and we should just say, like, screw them and fix it. But here's my question is, how many people do you think we need to have awareness of this in order to change the system, in order to change the way that we deal with these situations and actually eradicate it? I mean, that's the goal, right? We don't want any child or any adult really being harmed in this way. How many people do you think we need? Do we need everybody? Do we need 100%?
Well, here's the reality, and the saddest part about it is that you think everybody doesn't already fucking know. Everybody knows. We all know. We don't need to see it online. We know. And nobody's doing anything. Like, I would literally be like, how can you not realize that, what my family, my sister and I went through, and then all of a sudden you're just pretending like it never happened. Like, it's a joke. It's human nature, because denial is so much easier. Denial is way safer, way easier. Like, have you ever watched the movie The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Yes.
You see what happened to those people? That is some real shit right there.
Yeah.
That is a scenario that could happen. Right? I wouldn't mind if it was with Leonardo DiCaprio, but the dead bodies and stuff, like, they honestly, it is just sick what human beings are capable of. But that's the main thing, is that we can put out as much information as possible, but everybody knows already, and they're not doing anything about it. They're worrying about themselves and their families. And that's it.
How do we
I've accepted it, because I was devastated. Like, I'm not even going to lie to you, devastated. Like, my mom supported it. Everybody was turned against my sister and I. And I feel like, I felt like, how can you not see that? Like, we're not lying. Like, we're not lying. Why is this happening? Like, why is this okay? So at the end of the day, even my dad, he died in a shelter, my biological one. And I knew it. I knew he was there, but there's really nothing that I could do. So sometimes it's accepting, like you can put the information out there and you can make, because one person makes a difference. If you have everybody starting to do the same thing, like what we're supposed to do as one organism, one human organism, it's not organism. Sorry, you can take that out if you want, but you know what I mean? That's what if we could all just be on the same page. And that's my wish. That's my wish.
Do you think it would be helpful if this information was sent out with the intention of just helping people maybe believe the victims?
I think they do believe the victims, but they're in denial. They don't want to, it's really crazy. When I would go and visit and everything else, I knew what happened to me. My parents were both like that. And I'd still go and love them and be normal. Our brains are amazing. Like victims, anybody that's a victim here, I'm telling you, I get it because it's like walking in tunnel vision, right? So those kids, especially when you're a kid and you're trusting the adults and you're trusting the people around you and you're being told to shut up and not talk about it, yet you're walking around with this horrible memory. My best defense for you is to try to find, for anybody, is to try to forgive that person. And it sounds, I know you're probably going to get messages about that. Forgiveness in my perception, my personal perception is, moving on. Like I'm not going to talk or do anything anymore. Everybody's dead or moved on or whatever. But you know what? I'm not going to live with it anymore because I'm going to use the experience instead to help other people. I'm going to use my horrible, shitty friggin' childhood to make somebody else realize that if I can do it, she can do it. And that's all I can do as one human being. I know there's others out there all over the world that are doing their little bits, and there's ones that aren't, but we can't do anything about that. We can only just make them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What you do with all those messages, like with the messages on Facebook and people get pissed off and it's like, then just remove them. Why are you online then with them? Why are you online at all if you're going to be a friggin' basket case every time somebody offends you?
Yeah.
My God, I offend everybody, but I still have the people that love me.
And there's value in us being triggered. I think what we're doing essentially is we're triggering each other, right? And we're allowing ourselves to be triggered online. Yeah. And so if we're taking the initiative to engage in that activity, let's take it all the way and let's sit and ask myself, why is this bothering me? What do I need to do with that emotion? Is it something I need to let go? Is it something I need to forgive? Is it pushing me to speak up a little louder? And each one is going to be different, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was abused and I didn't abuse kids, right? But my family, I shouldn't really even be talking about it because of my brothers and stuff. But anyways, they never, he was abused, and then my mom grew up in a war zone. These things affect human beings, and believe it or not, brains, like dementia people, for example, can't even they say some terrible shit to you. Sometimes people with dementia, and or they might do weird things. Like you just don't know what that person has. You have to be the biggest douche to abuse a child. Okay. You have to really be sick. Right. And it's really up to that person to make a change. We can't change anybody. That's the point. We can make them put the message out there and do whatever we want and make them uncomfortable, but we can't change that person unless they want to change.
Yeah.
So my choice is to help the people that were the, I always say I wasn't the victim because really I'm not a victim. What that was an opportunity for an addicted person. Because addictions can be so many different things, including, I guess, alcohol, hitting, whatever, anything. And being addicted to anger, being addicted to drama.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I was such a drama queen. I'm still kind of like, I mean, and again, balance, balance. But does that make sense what I'm saying? Like,
Totally makes sense. Yeah, totally makes sense.
because we
And I
can't
think it's
do
a really
anything about
great
it.
perspective, right? And you have, I mean, I appreciate your perspective on it because you have lived through it, right? It's not something
Right.
that you're making up from a theoretical perspective. It's from a lived experience, and it's your
Right.
experience, and it's how you've chosen to integrate it into your life.
Yeah. Like I still talk to my brothers and my cousins and everybody. And the reason why is because you know what? Like this, it's not their fault. Why am I going to punish them? They don't know how to handle this. They don't know how to handle this. They're not ready to handle this. And if they are handling it, they're handling it with themselves. They don't need me to come push it in their face because that was
Yeah.
their father. How hurtful for them, right? So I just think that those two, I'm going to say it, like my siblings are friggin' incredible, right? Like they really are. Like I used to drive my brother crazy, my stepbrother, because I was such a drunk. Such a freaking really great, yeah. Anyway, so that's the point is that everybody, if you were to start with healing yourself, then you can start to heal other people. Because if you don't have that yet, then you can't safely do it. Does that make sense? Like you
Totally.
should be able to, if you have a little bit of pain, I'm always going to have pain. Always. I mean, it was my family and I love them. And I'm that kind of a soul that just loves everything. And I love those people, you know, but even my stepdad, I love him, but I forgive them, but I'm moving on. And that's it. That's all I can do. And I did a lot of work, internal work in order to do that. Before I could talk to my brothers, before I could spew bullshit everywhere. Because what happens is when I get mad, that's what I do. I'm on Facebook, motherfuckers, I'm on the, you know, and I'm like, what the hell is the point of that? How am I going to reach anybody? It's always like, yeah, I mean, we have an opportunity to help other people, but I think the best way to do it is to start small. Like what is around you? Start with your friggin' families, right? Like, hey, Kevin, he's a friggin' basket case. I said his name, whatever. He won't care. But you know what I mean? Like, but we're together for each other because we love each other through the imperfections and the perfection, whatever. I'm perfect. So.
Well, and I love that message too, because I think, you know, the world changes as each individual changes, right?
That's right.
And we all have the free will to choose what we want to do. We have the free will to choose to forgive or not forgive. Right.
That's why random acts of kindness every day. One thing. The girls that I am friends with that I help or whatever, you know, I literally tell them that just do one thing. Tell somebody, you know, their hair looks good. But be honest with what you're saying or what you're doing. That's the other key. The motive can't be like, oh, I'm going to like, you know, that Hawkeye on Facebook. And I'm going to be like, wow, you look really good in that picture. Like my motive is like basically flirty, right? But if you are, you know, say something to somebody that deserves it, you know, you're like, it's a wonderful thing how that can change your energy just like that.
Yeah. And we don't do enough of that. We really don't do enough of that, I don't think. Like,
no.
So often we hold back from telling people that we enjoyed what they said or that we loved them or that was hilarious. Like the emoticons on social media have really destroyed that like genuine excitement and feedback.
It's really hard. I feel like putting my own emojis like this.
Yeah. We should just make some gifts out of Cara. Some Cara gifts would be really amazing. I do want to ask you one more question before we end today, though. This is something that you and I have talked about a few times in the past, but I've seen it, you know, interestingly, I've seen quite a few people talking about it this week on different videos. And it's something that, you know, my daughter said a little while ago that when you drink alcohol, monsters come into the house. And you and I have talked quite often, quite a few times about the role or the connection and relationship between alcohol use and spirits and entity attachments. And do you want to share a little bit about your viewpoint on that?
I believe that I believe that my soul left my body when I was drinking and using, and something else replaced it. And she was just a tramp. But whatever. Anyways, off topic. You don't need to even remove that because, you know, we're being real now, right? Not all alcoholics are like that. But I mean, I was doing drugs. I was doing everything. So you know what? Like I would literally leave my body. I heard Robin Williams say it's because the soul's leaving because the conscience is like, I'm out, buddy. You're going to put keys up your ass. I'm out. I'm gone. Right. So yeah, I do. I was not the same person when I drank. And I believe that a lot of times, especially if you are a psychic medium and you're aware of it or whatever, when you do that, you're risking yourself because your soul can leave. Mine can leave because I'm a survivor. It used to leave every time I was abused.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a numbness. It's a horrible life to be an alcoholic and addict. My suggestion for people that are going to do this, and you're not supposed to do like commercials, but is AA and Al-Anon and Narcotics Anonymous. The 12 steps are amazing. Saved my life. But I also had to go to therapy because I am crazy. And I did. And you know what? It was rewarding in every sense of the way to be able to learn all of this. I'm not a therapist. And I tell the girls I'm not a therapist. I'm not. I just know my experience and what worked for me. And you know your experience and what worked for you. And, you know, I think that, you know, not being an asshole was a good start. And like admitting that I knew when I was taking my first drink and that I didn't give a shit about anybody else, which is difficult for, you know, someone like me to admit. But, you know, until eventually you have no control anymore, your soul leaves. I actually saw somebody, I'm not going to say who, but I saw somebody messed up to the T. And they literally kept repeating the numbers 444 over and over to me. And 2 years later, I Googled it, what 444 was, because I had Google at the time, because I was sober for a while, so I had money for internet. So I, where was I going with this? So so 444. And, you know, I pulled up a Doreen Virtue, like little thing, and it said 100,000 angels are with you at this time. That's what that number meant. So why was he doing this? Why was he saying this? Was it him? I can tell you for sure it wasn't him. It was not him. It was another being.
Have you seen energies leaving or coming into the body when people are, you know, drinking or using drugs?
I don't think so. No, thank fuck, because that would scare the shit out of me.
I mean, I've seen it. I've seen energies.
I would not like that.
And it makes a lot of sense when I hear the kids saying what they are saying, and their concerns about alcohol.
Well, the monsters too. Alcoholics, typically people who abuse alcohol. Like, I'm not talking about people who can drink regularly. Good for you. Good for fucking you.
Yeah.
Anyways, must be nice, Jen. You can drink normally. Anyways, you know, it doesn't have to be. It could be any sort of an addiction that you have, right? That can take away your soul. I believe there are always entities waiting.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think my concern is that, I mean, I'm really interested in the mind. I've always been interested in the mind and consciousness. There's a big
interest. You're a big nerd. I know.
And you know, in the last year, I've done a lot of deep diving into, you know, mind control and mind manipulation and those types of things. And as part of that process, I've become very aware of the messages, we'll call them subliminal messages.
There's subliminal messages I get that.
Yeah, that are in television. And so I take particular interest to the new movies and television shows that are coming out, because I feel like they are predictive of what some of these energies, what their agenda might be in the future, because some of this dark energy is reliant on our consciousness having an awareness of it in advance in order for it to work. And in the last year, I've noticed that there is a theme in television shows and movies, at least on certain online channels, where there's humans who are either having their consciousness removed. So for example, if you look at the television show, The Travelers, right? I've always been very interested in time travel, but how the time travel works is they actually go back to a few moments before somebody dies. And so that person's consciousness is removed and a consciousness from the future steps in, walks into the body. And there was a lot of movies
walk-ins
here. Yeah, a lot of movies about walk-ins, and not friendly walk-ins. But also, I mean, in my own meditation practice in the last year, I have also had consciousness coming into my mind, external consciousness that I can converse in, and have been.
That's because you're a medium.
Well, that too. So it's difficult to differentiate.
They're talking to you.
Being a dead person in, that scenario. But I have really been exploring, in my own meditation practice of can the human body hold two sets of consciousness at the same time? Is that
I think
possible?
they can.
I do too. And so
3, 4, 5, like.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. I mean, I've gotten up to 3 so far. I mean, and then you're also thinking of multiple personality disorder, right?
You can get there's so many people with mental illness that are like myself that, I acknowledge it. I'm aware of it. I take my medicine. I honor the system that way. But at the end of the day, you know what? Like, I also honor that this is me.
Yeah. Right? And I think as humans, we have such a unique makeup in our DNA and our spirituality and our ability to not only be human and physical and live in this world, but we also seem to be anyway, have the innate ability to be able to communicate with other dimensions. And maybe that is a unique gift that we need to start embracing rather than trying to shut down. And so my question is always what is the motive behind either side? What would be our motivation to open that skill set, that ability? And then what is the motivation on the flip side to turn it off? And maybe it's not a matter.
The only motivation is to help others. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Help others. And when I say others, I mean everything.
Yeah.
The flowers behind you that aren't really there. Are they there? See, I told you I'm crazy. Flowers, trees, if we could just practice that, it sounds so cheesy and hippie-like to say, sorry, hippies. I'm kind of a hippie, but not like that. But anyways, if you think about just loving everything, just practice, when you look at your kids, obviously it's easy, but say if you look at your husband, we know that's harder.
I'll let you comment.
My
mouth on that one.
So, but you know what? Just practicing that for me is what I do. And I find that people become drawn to that because they feel safe and they feel loved. And half the time, I know me growing up, I'd never felt that. So when I see somebody that has that, it's just a need. We all have that need. Yeah. And I think
we all deserve that. I think
it's all deserved. We're even God. We're God, and God's my soul, I believe, is God. Your soul is God. I believe that we're literally connected. And I say it so often that even I'm really, Cara? But it's true. I feel it. And I'm sober for almost 12 years. And that's because I connected to that. And I know that it's going to take care of me. And I'm not, I'm an asshole sometimes. I can go crazy. I can do lots of things, that are not, appropriate. But who the fuck doesn't? Seriously, look at yourself. That's what I say. Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror and look at yourself.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with those girls with that, you know, sex trafficking and all of that, I can totally relate to all of that stuff. And it's very sensitive to me. And I'm going to say this, the best way to address it is by doing one person at a time. We can't make anybody change it. Nobody's going to change it. There's too much money. It's like drugs. There's drug dealers everywhere. And some of them are really terrible people. Most of them probably are terrible, but you know what? They can always change. That's the thing. You can always change.
Yeah. Well, I think each one of us can change in that regard, whether we've been affected by it or not personally in our own lives. I think each one of us makes a choice as to whether we're going to continue to tolerate or not that situation on our planet. And it doesn't mean that we're going to, you know, not everybody is.
And we're tolerating it now, the majority. It pisses me off.
We are tolerating it. And I think, you know, not everyone is going to storm the courts, you know, and rise up on the steps. That's not everybody's mission to do that. But it comes in small ways. And sometimes that small ways is simply looking someone in the eyes and smiling and letting them know that you see them and letting them know
that they're there.
Because the reality is there is a huge percentage of our adult population that are victims of this.
Oh, I know. And so I know, I've met them. I get like they recognize little wounded animals. We all see each other.
Yeah.
And I laugh, and it's not funny, but what I'm saying, I laugh only because it releases the energy for me, because it's really tough. But you know, like, these people are all like walking around and they have no idea. And maybe if they see this video, because that's where it went, and maybe they might, oh my God, look at those two bitches. I can do it. Yeah. Because really, pain is also an addiction. You can focus on it and relive it for the rest of your life, or you can make a decision to do something with it. Those are your choices. And it was like, do I kill myself? What do I do? I can't live with all of this. Like, it was too much. A victim of abuse from the time I came out of the womb all the way until I met Kevin, like literally every day, repeated. So these women and kids, I can relate to them, and the men. The men, it's like awful, because they're told that it's demasculating to them, you know, like they're supposed to be so tough, but you know, that happened to them, and now they feel like, you know, or they end up drunk or high or doing whatever. Like, some people, you know, my family, besides me, everybody turned out okay. You know, my brothers and my sister. I did not. But I am okay now, right? Like, that's the thing. But it's just, I mean, great.
I have to say, in your defense, since you're beating up on yourself here, is that, you know, and I know you know this, but there are so many people in our community who don't know your past, who would never guess your past, because you are such a loving, kind person.
Oh, thank you so much.
You have just done, I mean, I've met a lot of the people that you've worked with over the years, and I have to say, like, I'm so thankful to have you as a friend, and I'm so excited that there are people like you, because I know there's other people like you out there that are doing this work, that are doing it at the grassroots level, one person at a time, right?
That's it.
And to think that doesn't have an effect is pretty naive, because we know that the human energy system, the human heart, is incredibly powerful. And I can vouch for the fact that in the last couple of weeks, every time that we go into meditation as a group, and you're often there with us, we are not the only ones that are doing this around the planet. I can see people around the planet doing it, and I know you can see them too. And I know that all of the women that you do work with are probably going to carry that legacy forward as well. And that's
exactly the point. That is the point.
Yeah.
Because truly, I'm selfish. I don't want to do it, but I'm doing it because it keeps me sober. And I'm not just that, I do it because now I'm loving it, actually. Now I like it. Now I like it. Yeah. But thank you for saying that. That's so sweet.
Well, You deserve to hear it. You deserve more than a little smiley face emoticon in my
Oh,
world. So anyway, I'm conscious of the time because we've been chatting for over an hour now, but I know
wow.
our time, and we didn't even, like, we barely scratched the surface on what we normally talk about.
Oh, there's so much more. Honestly, there's so much more. I wanted to talk about like the coronavirus and my perception of it. It's almost like a story. Kevin goes, "You need to write books, like storybooks."
Yeah.
Because I love using my imagination. And what if we should have that as our topic, everyone? What if?
Do you want to throw that out there? Do you want to throw your perspective out there before we end? Because that's like a really awful teaser to leave, I think.
Oh no, I think I should tease.
Okay. Well,
I better write it down though.
Write it down, and we can pick it up, because I mean, I have some thoughts on that too from what I've seen behind the scenes, but I normally keep that stuff quiet because I don't like to. I do my best to try not to insult or offend people, but these days that seems to be an impossibility.
Oh my God, I offend everyone. Not everyone. I don't offend you, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I didn't offend Lindsay bitch.
You just did. Don't worry.
Oh my God.
We'll get you used to this live thing. We'll get you used to being live on YouTube until.
Am I literally live? Like people can watch it right now?
People can. We're about a 2-second delay behind the live, but yeah. We'll get used to it.
Hi.
It's all good. Anyway, I'm gonna let you get back to your busy work today, and we'll set up another day to do this again.
This was fun. This was fun.
I enjoyed it.
Okay, bye. Love you.